Hello booktube, hello book friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel and welcome to this, the first day of Private Eye July, and I hope you have all started reading your private investigator fiction, but if not, I thought I would give you some ideas of books that you might read from an author who is very famous and until relatively recently mostly associated with writing horror fiction. Now, you've probably worked out who this is because I suspect I have put it in the video description. And that author is, of course, Stephen King. And although, as I say, mostly known for writing horror fiction, he has very much dabbled in the mystery genre at various times, and also relatively recently in the private investigator fiction, with one recurring character who King keeps coming back to with in various stories, and indeed his latest release this year is about that character. But I thought I'd go through what I think are 8 books that relate to private investigations, or private eye fiction that Stephen King has written. The first of those isn't specifically a private investigator story in the way that we've defined private investigators being someone who doesn't work for law enforcement and takes paying clients. But the book itself has been compared to the Maltese Falcon, which would very much count. So I'm stretching things a bit, but that is Stephen King's The Colorado Kid. So the book is, as I say, been compared to Dashiell Hammett's The Maltese Falcon, and the work of Graham Greene. So this is, let me read the back to you. On an island off the coast of Maine, a man is found dead. There is no identification in the body, only the dogged work of a pair of local newspapermen and a graduate student in forensic turns up any clues, and it's more than a year before the man is identified. And that's the beginning of the mystery, because the more they learn about the man and the baffling circumstances of his death, the less they understand. Was it an impossible crime or something stranger still? So that's worth reading, not strictly private eye fiction. And then we move on to what is known either as the Bill Hodges trilogy or the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. And the first book in that is indeed a book called Mr. Mercedes. And I was just looking to see if I could see. No, it doesn't say it in the front. So this is, you're not quite sure what this is when it starts out, but it basically involves it starts with a job fair at a town where unemployment is very high, and a job fair is held, and because of the lack of jobs, the number of unemployed, there is a big queue outside this job fair, and there are lots of people queuing, waiting for the doors to open, and someone in a Mercedes decides to basically drive into the crowd, and ends up killing a lot of people, injuring others. And this starts out as the investigation by Bill Hodges, who at the time is a serving police officer, but ultimately they don't find the driver, the killer, and Bill retires, and ultimately becomes a private investigator. And this trilogy covers the Mr. Mercedes, moves on to Finders Keepers, and ends with End of Watch. And during this series, another character is introduced who is Holly Gibney. And if you read any Stephen King, you'll know that Holly Gibney becomes a recurring character in other Stephen King stories. So she is in the 3 Bill Hodges trilogy books, but she also appears in The Outsider, in the collection If It Bleeds, which is also related to The Outsider, one of the stories is, and then gets a novel in her own right, which is Holly, and ultimately this year's new release by Stephen King, Never Flinch, is another Holly Gibney story, so another private investigator story. So if you are a Stephen King fan and want to participate in Private Eye July, there are some choices for you. I'm hoping I might get to Never Flinch because I haven't read that one yet. But otherwise, I have plenty of other options as well, and I will talk about some of those in due course. So if you have been, thank you for watching, and I will speak to you again next time.